For the longest time, the story of global culture was, well, it was pretty simple, right? For about 250 years, the idea was that Western ideas, technology, and art just spread out across the globe, and everyone else kind of adapted. It was supposed to be this one-way street, heading from west to east. But if that's the whole story, you've got to ask yourself.
Yeah, why didn't the entire planet just become a carbon copy of the West? It's a fantastic question, because when you look around right now, it is so obvious that's not what happened. Not at all. That one-way street? Nope. It's more like a massive, chaotic, multi-lane highway with traffic going in every single direction.
I mean, just think about it. You've got Japanese anime. It has completely changed the game for animation and storytelling for a whole generation all over the world.
And then there's K-pop. I mean, it's just this unstoppable force, isn't it? Topping charts and selling out stadiums everywhere from Seoul to São Paulo.
Or how about Bollywood? It actually pumps out more movies than Hollywood. It takes Western film styles and blends them with this incredible Indian music and dance, and billions of people absolutely love it.
And hey, let's not forget yoga, an ancient spiritual and physical practice from India that's now this huge multi-billion-dollar global industry. So you see, these aren't just little niche interests. They are massive, powerful cultural exports.
Okay, so clearly that old story, the one-way street, it just doesn't work anymore, does it? We need a new model, and that's what we're digging into today. It offers a totally different way of looking at this, not as a simple takeover, but as this really cool dynamic cycle. A cycle of copying, then reacting, and then creating something completely new.
All right, so let's get into it. This new way of thinking asks us to imagine something pretty wild. What if entire cultures behaved like cognitive systems? Almost like brains, constantly responding and adapting to new information and pressure.
So the model starts with this idea of an external strain field. It sounds kind of technical, but just picture it like this. Western modernity, with all its science, industry, and institutions, was like this giant wave of pressure that washed over other societies. It was this huge flood of new information that you just couldn't ignore. But here's the thing. Cultures don't just get washed away. They have something the model calls deep cultural memory. Think of it like a culture's core operating system. Its ancient philosophies, its religious beliefs, its artistic traditions. All the stuff that's been there for centuries and is super resistant to being erased. It's the source code of its identity.
So, what happens when that powerful external pressure meets this deep, resilient memory? Well, you get this amazing, repeating three-step cycle that drives all of this cultural transformation.
And this is the engine of cultural change. First, a society copies what it needs from the outside. But then, when that starts to feel like a threat to its identity, it reacts by reviving its own traditions. And finally, out of that tension, a new hybrid is born, something that blends the foreign and the familiar into something totally unique.
Now, the coolest part about this? It's not just some neat theory. You can actually see this copy-react hybrid cycle play out across 250 years of history, and it happens in 4 distinct ways.
So let's walk through them. We're going to start way back with the first shock of the Industrial Revolution and bring it all the way up to our crazy digital world today.
Okay, so wave 1. Societies like Meiji Japan are feeling this immense pressure, so what do? They copy Western industry, basically just to survive. But that immediately sparks a powerful reaction, a revival of their own local philosophies, like Hinduism and Confucianism, to protect their core identity.
Then comes wave 2. This time, the copying is political, things like the nation-state. The reaction is even stronger, sparking huge movements like Gandhi's in India. And the hybrids? They get way more sophisticated. This is when we see the birth of entirely new art forms, like modern Indian cinema and Japanese literature.
All right, now wave 3 is where things get really interesting. This is the big turning point. The East copies Western consumer capitalism. The reaction is an intense return to religious and cultural identity. But this time, the hybrids, like anime, Bollywood, and early K-pop, are so mature and powerful that they start getting exported back to the West. The flow of culture is officially starting to reverse.
And that brings us right up to today, wave 4. The whole world is copying digital tech like AI and social media. The reaction? An incredibly strong reassertion of local identity everywhere. And the hybrids? Well, they're no longer just exports. They are dominant forces shaping global pop culture, from the K-wave to the worldwide mindfulness movement.
So this whole process, cycling back and forth for centuries, has led us to a truly fascinating and completely new reality.
And here is the answer to our original puzzle. The world didn't just become Western because influence stopped being a one-way street. We now live in what the model calls a shared global strain field, where everyone is influencing everyone else, all at the same time.
So, why does this matter? It means we're all part of a single planetary system for creating culture. East and West are now co-oscillating, constantly blending technology, art, and philosophy to create new ideas that are truly global. It's become one big shared conversation.
And to leave you with a final thought, what we may be witnessing here is something profound. This isn't just about pop culture. It could be the beginning of a planetary cognitive phase, the birth of a global mind, where all of us are creating the next chapter of human culture together.